Thank you so much for attending. I'm Samantha Harris. I am the Director of Programs with Hire, and our mission is to maximize the skills and opportunities for youth and adults that are system involved or formerly incarcerated. And we do that through employment, mentorship, and community building. Bianca, you want to go next? And this is my co-facilitator, Bianca.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see you all. Bianca, the Director of Client Services here at Working Wardrobes. We are a workforce readiness organization that helps all kinds of individuals, including our justice impacted folks, on removing barriers to employment. You may also know us through our professional wardrobing offering. Welcome, everyone.
Great, thank you. Megan?
Yeah, and I was just going to say, well, real quick, I was going to say, welcome everybody. This is our quarterly subcommittee employment reentry meeting. I'm like, where am I today? What's going on? And so we have two different subcommittees that meet quarterly. So one is on youth reentry and this one's on employment reentry. And so it's just a place for those that are new, because I do see some new faces. It's a place for us to like gather, be able to share resources. We have speakers, topics, all sorts of fun stuff. It's just a place for us to kind of collaborate, network, share resources, and that sort of stuff. So excited you guys are here. And for those that don't know me, I am Megan Medlin. I am the CEO of Hire and excited to be here.
Nicole?
Good afternoon, Nicole Woodworth with Hire. I am a business development manager, and it's good to see all of you this afternoon.
Anthony, do you want to try and see? Or I think you said your mic wasn't working, right?
Travesty.
Okay.
Anthony doesn't have a mic.
Okay. Ruby?
Hi, everybody. I'm Ruby with Ready, Set, OC. It's an employment and training program that's WIOA funded. I am out of the MOB probation office here in Orange, right next to Juvenile Hall in the courthouse. And we assist youth ages 14 to 24 that are facing barriers, including justice impacted, with employment and training.
Thank you. And I am still learning who everyone is. So if I butcher your name, I do apologize in advance. Is it Dunia? Maybe not, no sound on that one either. I think she's unmuted, but
she's the Geo. I don't know if she has a mic, but she's the Geo.
Okay. And then is it Bonachet?
Hello.
That was bad, huh?
I go by B. I was going to try to change it, but it didn't let me. My name's B, and I am an employment specialist here at the Recovery Education Institute. I am one of two employment specialists. Our other employment specialists will be here in a little bit. But we help individuals. Our students are people that are impacted with mental health challenges or recovering from drugs or alcohol or have a close loved one. And then we are, of course, here we offer courses and training, but me and the other employment specialists work with students that have been justice impacted, as well as people that are on SSI and SSDI, and any other student try to navigate going back into work. So.
Great, thank you. Jade?
Hi, I'm with Human Works Foundation. I'm the intern this semester. I'm just here to kind of take notes and listen to what's going on in the community.
Great, thank you. Denise?
Hi, yes, I'm Denise. I'm the Business Development and Community Engagement Coordinator for Chrysalis. We are a nonprofit that offers an employment preparation program to anybody over the age of 18. This includes backgrounds, no backgrounds, anybody over 18.
Great, thank you. Frankie?
Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. My name is Frankie. I am coming today from Recovery Education Institute, Pacific Clinics, along with B. I am the Assistant Education Director overseeing our Medi-Cal Peer Support Specialist certification training. B explained our services perfectly. We really are interested in, building relationships and learning about the resources that exist out there for our justice impacted students.
Frankie, that's a new role, right, for you?
It is. I was the employment specialist previously. I remember we met, I think, last year at our annual peer workforce event. And yes, I moved into this role December of 2024.
Oh, I love it. Congratulations.
Thank you, Megan.
Jessica?
Hello, everyone. Hopefully my mic is working. My name is Jessica Garcia. I work with Young Adult Court. I'm the admin clinical coordinator, so I'm just here to collect all the resources in hopes that I can distribute that to our population.
Thank you. Sue?
Talking Sue, we can't hear you. Sue's an old OG. I haven't seen Sue in a while. She's with Health Right 360.
Okay. Thank you. Juliana?
Hi, I'm so sorry. Right now I'm at the grocery store trying to get things. So mind if there's like background. But I'm from Human Works Foundation. I'm here. Megan's usually here sometimes, but me and Jade are the ones that are representing the nonprofit today. So we do reentry work. So we help with resume building, employment assistance, sometimes housing assistance, and as well as we serve the veteran community. And we're here just taking notes to give to the big boss. But thank you.
I couldn't tell if that was somebody else talking or Juliana or.
Oh, that was me. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, that's okay. Giovanna?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, our mics have not been working all day today, so I apologize. I'm Giovanna. I work with Geo Reentry. We are an organization in partnership with CDCR, and we help individuals who are justice impacted and are actively on parole.
Thank you. And I think Mary just hopped on. Oh, maybe now gone. Okay. I think that's everyone except for I'd like to introduce our guest speaker for today, Ena Toledano from the Public Defender's Office, and she's going to help us understand the Clean Slate program.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ena Toledano. I am a paralegal for the Clean Slate program at the Public Defender's Office. And recently, the name was changed to Clean Slate. Before, it was the New Leaf program. So you probably had heard that name before. And it's the same thing. We just changed the name to kind of go along with all the other counties that have the same program, and theirs is called the Clean Slate program. So we just kind of wanted to follow the same pattern as the other counties did. So what our program does, we assist clients to have any cases where they need assistance with either dismissing, sealing, and certificate of rehabs to help them to help them assist those seeking a fresh start in for employment purposes, housing, professional licensing, consumer credit, you name it. Nowadays, they run your credit for everything. I mean, we've heard, just to sometimes traveling now, that's a huge thing where we've heard a lot of people can leave because, they have something on the record. So we'll assist them in going through the dismissal program. If they have cases where they have pled guilty, then those cases will be dismissed. And instead of saying that they pled guilty, we'll say dismissal pursuant to Penal Code 1203.4. And if the cases have been been dismissed, then perhaps those cases will be sealed and destroyed. And there's a lot of other things that we can perhaps do: reduction of cases, sealing arrest records, early probation, termination of probation, also certificate of rehabilitation, and reduction of a felony to a misdemeanor. So what we do, we usually send out the applications to clients. Then once they submit them, we'll review them and determine, our attorney, Marianne, will determine what relief they qualify for, what's the best relief for them. So she will review and will petition the court for that. Usually, the process right now, we'll do everything for that one client. For Orange County cases only, we only, other than if they have been transferred into Orange County, then we can assist if they're from other counties. If they are not, if they're from other counties, they will have to go to those counties where the cases originated from. Who is eligible for this? Anyone who has a conviction as an adult on a criminal case. Almost all offenses are eligible for the relief. The attorney will review and make sure that they qualify. If they don't for some reason or the other, then we will call them and let them know. Okay, what type of cases? So there is, recently we've had various laws came into play, bills that also the attorney, Marianne Johnson, will apply if they qualify for certain cases for them to get the highest form of relief on those cases. So a lot of people think that getting an expungement, that's a very, broad word that they utilize. And really what it is, it's just a type of relief that they would receive, and they think that it will wipe out the convictions that they have, and that is not the case. So what it will do, instead of, if they plead guilty to a case, it will say, instead of saying plead guilty, it will say dismissal pursuant to Penal Code 1203.4. And or if it's a felony and they have a charge that can be reduced, then the attorney will also review that. And if they do qualify for a reduction, then we can petition the court. So now there is a possibility that if they have a felony, it can be reduced to a misdemeanor and perhaps dismissed. Okay. And in certain cases, then the DOJ, once it's dismissed, they might also be able to seal it, but that sometimes it's only available through the DOJ. And so it just varies, and that's the reason that the attorney always reviews the cases and trying to get the highest form of relief for the clients that we have. Okay, and it will, and then they also have to remember that anytime that they received some sort of relief, any government entity will still be able to see it. Even if it's a sealed record, they might still be able to see it. It's hidden from the private eye, but not from the government entity. They might still be able to see it. Let's see. So what is a 1203.4 dismissal? What it will not do, it will not remove the conviction from the RAP. It will still be viewable, but instead it will say dismissed pursuant to Penal Code 1203.4. So if it's sealed, it will say sealed to the private eye, like I said, but then it will be viewable. It might be available to view to any government entity. It can prevent the conviction from being considered in use and refuse to revoke government licensing and permits, such as teaching, credential, nursing, or bus drivers, license, security guard certificate, etc. However, the 1203.4 dismissal may reduce the weight given to the conviction by the licensing agency. It may release you from the term of conditions of certain unexpired criminal protective orders issued by the court. So it just depends on what it is that that you have been convicted of. That's what it would assist in, depending on the relief that they get for them. So it's really depends on the type of conviction that you have and when you've been charged. So all, we will review the cases, and once we receive the application, then we will contact the client to let them know what it is that we can assist them with and move forward from there. I think that's pretty much the basic. Oh, and the requirement is that you cannot be on probation, parole, you cannot have an open or pending case, and you cannot have any warrants in any other county or state, nothing pending. You cannot be serving a sentence either. So those are the major requirements for to start the process for the Clean Slate program. And then I also encourage everyone to read our application. We do have I apologize. We do have our application on our website. This is available. Our website, it's updated, and this is you will see the application, the process. It will explain to you what it will do and not do for you. So these are the type of reliefs that that we can assist with. And you can always email us also if you have any questions. We will be able to assist with that. If we cannot assist for any reason or the other, we will definitely have someone assist you. And it explains to you also who's eligible, what types of cases. And here is what I was talking about, where this is what it will do and not do for you. This is really important for all the clients who are participating in our program to read and understand what it will do and not do for you. Sometimes they have a different impression of what the Clean Slate will do for them. And here is the contact information where you can contact us directly, and also the application can be submitted as PDF attachment. Here is the application. Is very basic. It's just their personal information. It's always very important for them to answer all their current information. This will tell us what type of relief they can qualify for. Here it is again, the type of relief they're seeking. And then this is just the information that we require for them to answer. Also, if they have felonies, they will be required to submit letters and any supporting documentation to make their petition strong. Here is a list of items that they can submit when submitting their application, especially if they have felonies, they will be required to submit letters or supporting documentation. And then also we have our CR 105, which is also required to start the process to submit it to the program. This is so that to make sure that they qualify for the program. This has to be completely filled out. If there is something that they don't, doesn't pertain to them, they can enter 0 or NA. If they're not working, that's okay. If they are working, that is okay too. It doesn't mean that they will not qualify. It just means that they take everything into consideration. If they have dependents, if they have their, everything, all the bills that they pay, they take everything into consideration. So a lot of people think that because they work or receive some sort of general relief or some sort of aid, that they will not qualify. That is not true. They take everything into consideration. So this is just the form that must be submitted in order to start the process. And make sure that they sign it and date it. And that's pretty much it. We will, once they submit it, we will review it and contact the client to be sure that that they are qualified, and if we need anything further information, we will directly contact them to be sure that they're on the right path to moving forward and getting their cases dismissed, perhaps. I think that's the general gist of our clean slate. And if anybody has any questions or we can assist you with anything.
Any questions? I know I have one. Is there any, like, I know we get clients, some of our clients asking for assistance in filling this out. Are there any kind of like common mistakes, maybe besides just leaving something blank or not filling out completely, that you see a lot, or that we can make sure we're advising our clients to not do? Anything like just common that they do?
If they leave it blank, it's okay. Sometimes I understand that. Sometimes they don't remember, or they don't know what to answer. Even if they give us a simple question, we utilize those that questionnaire for to draft the motion, so the petition. So that helps us. So if they take their time to answer those questions, that will just give us more to draft our petition and the declaration, I'm sorry, and make a stronger one. So if they can't remember everything, but if they write down something, that will give us an insight and will help us. And if there is nothing, they can just enter NA or 0, and we can talk to them once we review the application. We'll go over it. We're working on it. Then we will let them know. We'll go over everything again over the application to make sure that we have the right answers to move forward.
Great, thank you. And then once an application is submitted, is there a rough idea of how long it takes? Like, I know you mentioned you'll always get back to them and everything, but like how long after they submit it can they expect at least like be received, or kind of what that timeline could look like?
Recently we had an influx of applications just because of the immigration situation that's going on. So we've received a lot of applications. So right now we have a very heavy caseload. We're trying to get back to everyone, but if you reach out to us after you submit your application, we'll reach out to you again. We try to do it within 7 to 10 business days, trying to get back to everyone. Just to let you know, it is at least 6 months before you will have your case, everything be done.
Okay. I'm just taking some notes. Anybody
Bianca,
else have any?
Yeah, I think Bianca had a question.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, you did answer one of my questions, was about the timing and what folks can expect. So that's helpful. I know we've had a couple of clients kind of go through the process, and it took a long time. One had to actually go through some appeals. So I guess the kind of like general question is, what would keep anyone from that had a background to like not want to go through this process? So I guess it's like, who is the most ideal candidate to consider, so that you're not getting an influx of clients that may technically be eligible, but likely not the strong candidates to get this expungement. Is there I know it's a depends answer, but is there any kind of guidance or trends of folks who have had the most success in this, so that we can help, set expectations for our clients and not have every single one of them apply?
I can't give you that answer just because everyone is different. Some clients come in with one case, it's a misdemeanor. So, it's versus some clients come in with a long rap sheet that takes a lot longer just because we have to go through all the cases. So it just really varies. I can't give you, it just really depends. I know you didn't want to hear that, but
no.
yeah,
It's more for like, and it is sort of a case by case, but it is more for like how to help case managers, or maybe this is more of open to others, is how do you determine which is a good candidate to go down this path, right? If you're looking at your caseload, are you telling is everyone saying, hey, every single person, let's try this? Or are we picking and
It
choosing,
depends.
and what do you use?
Here I go again. I'm sorry. It depends, right? So it really depends on the case, if it's a misdemeanor, if it's a felony. So everything is treated differently because not all the cases, will have the same type of relief. So that it will depend on the type of cases that they have.
Sure.
Also, as far as clients, the clients that would probably, make sure that they submit everything, all of the supporting documents, letters. Those are the ones that will probably have a stronger petition and have a higher likely for them to get it granted. And it doesn't mean that because someone doesn't submit some sort of supporting document, it won't, but it will not be as strong as someone that puts all their effort into making sure that they submit all of the supporting documentation.
That's
so
cool. Thank you.
So sometimes clients want us to do everything for them, and that's pretty tough because they have to put, their part too. They have to want to do this, and they have to be available to, sometimes answer questions and go over their application, or sit down with the attorney and, kind of let us know what's going on. What is it that we can, do so we can make this declaration strong, and the judge can be compelled to get your case dismissed, right? And sometimes the clients don't give us a lot, and that's the hard part.
Sure. Thank you so much. I know it's hard to answer those gray questions for sure.
We'll work with them no matter what, though. I mean, we've had some tough ones, but we'll still work with them no matter what.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
And, I was going to ask a question, and I apologize if you answered this earlier because I was multitasking. I was going to ask a question. I apologize if you answered this earlier, but I was multitasking. But is there a certain amount of time that clients need to be off supervision? And then also, is there still like an income limit to apply through the public defender as well?
No, I mean, the income limit, like I mentioned, it just depends on everything. We don't have an income limit. It's just they take a look at dependents, the income, all their, everything that they write down for their bills. And so that is usually reviewed by the supervising attorney, and he will determine that he takes everything into consideration. It doesn't mean that just because they work, they will be turned down. It's not the case at all. And then what was your other question? I'm sorry.
About being on supervision or how long they have to be off.
Okay, for the supervision, for the probation, they have to be at least halfway through their probation in order for us to submit an early termination of probation. And that is, but there is no limit after they have been off probation. They can submit their application immediately after if they like, at least for if they've done prison time. Sometimes most of the time, if they were just released on that, they have to be at least 2 years off of their parole from the time discharged from their parole. So to start the process, but if they have other cases, they can start the process on all the other cases. But we will review that. That's not something that they can have to determine. We will review that.
Perfect. And then just for everybody else's knowledge, because I already kind of know the answer to this one. But say you have a client that goes, hey, I found an attorney that I'm going to pay to help me get an expungement. What's kind of the difference between that and working with the public defender?
Well, the private attorney would probably take care of it for them. I mean, you hope that they do immediately for them if they're paying them, right? But with the public defenders, we do have a very heavy caseload, and they just, have to kind of get in line with everyone else. That's the only thing. But with a private attorney, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. They just have to they probably don't have to wait that long.
And just from personal preference, we usually advise them to go to you guys anyway, just because of cost as well. And
Also, legal aid can assist with out of county expungements. If you guys didn't know that, they're great with
I'm
that.
sorry, I didn't hear who you said.
Legal aid, and I can
Okay.
provide you with their information too. They assist San Bernardino, Riverside, and LA, and some Orange County, not all Orange County, only some Orange County. Public defenders only assist with Orange County cases.
yeah, so to clarify that, Mary, like wherever the person's case is, like whatever county, they have to go to that county for assistance.
Where it originated from the case.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, and also sometimes if they transfer the case out of Orange County, they have to go to the county.
So Mary asked if this is only for Orange County.
Yes, only Orange County. Public defenders is only for Orange County.
Okay. Great, thank you. Any other questions? Or I think as Bianca mentioned earlier too, any other organizations on maybe how they recommend or refer or advise their clients on this process could also be helpful.
Yeah, like I mentioned, legal aid would be the one that we have sometimes refer clients to if they have some cases in Orange, sometimes in Orange County. I know that they're very, they have to qualify by their zip code, I think it is. But they can review that for you. Also, I know they assist LA, Riverside, and San Bernardino County, and they're great to work with too. So, but they're the ones that I can think of that will be able to assist.
And I added a couple of links up in the chat just above Anthony's messages about his event. That will take you to the application and the website if folks need to find their way there.
Thank you,
And I can
Bianca.
look up the legal aid if that's helpful. Is it just Orange County, or is Ena, do you have that you could put in the chat?
Their website? It's www.communitylegalsocal.org. And I can even give you the number too. It's 800-834-5001.
5001?
Yes.
Okay.
Ena, just to clarify too, for anyone who may not know, and again, apologies again if you had already answered this.
No problem.
This is like an employment-driven subcommittee, right? Like, kind of the idea behind this was like, how can we assist our clients to get things off their backgrounds to help them, advance in their careers and jobs and that sort of stuff. So with a 1203.4 dismissal, how does that still show up on like an employer background check? Are you familiar with that end of things?
So instead of saying that they pled guilty, it will say dismissal pursuant to Penal Code 1203.4. So it will look better than showing that it pled guilty. So that's, a lot of the employers want to see that. And sometimes they require the orders for them to provide, for the clients to provide the orders. So as when their case is over, they should be receiving a certified copy of the order. And that's something that they can show the employer if they require that, here's my order that the case was dismissed.
That's very important for those that aren't familiar with that process, because sometimes a person will go through the background check. It still pops up. It will still show up on a background check. And employers, not all employers know how to read that. And so it's important that, one, we can educate our clients, as well as our clients be able to educate employers if that comes up, that it was dismissed. And to Ena's point, they can show their documentation, their paperwork. They can explain the process. I went through the process. When I went to a judge, my case was dismissed. to help them kind of get a leg up. But yeah, common misconception forever with clients is once they get a dismissal, that it is off their record and you're not going to see it again. And that is not true.
And it's really important that when the case is dismissed for them to keep their orders in a safe place. Sometimes the cases will be sealed after the cases have been dismissed, and that is through the DOJ, through the Department of Justice. Once the cases are sealed, we no longer have access through the court system, at least us, because it's a sealed case. And the court sometimes doesn't have access. The clerks, they sometimes have to go jump through hurdles to get a copy of their order. So it is very important that they keep it in a safe place, especially from, just the recent years where they've switched that, that they've started sealing records, which is great. I find it that's a better solution for them to have, be able to get them sealed, which is not, we don't petition that, but that is done through the Department of Justice automatically. And sometimes we don't have access if it's a sealed case. So it is very important that they keep those documents in a safe place.
And I'm so glad you said that. And Frankie, I know you have your hand up too. But the kind of teeing up confirming my other question I had earlier about the public defenders versus public attorneys. So this obviously was a unique case, but we had a client who had gone through it was a couple years ago through a private attorney and got everything dismissed. Everything was good to go. However, it never got filed with the DOJ. And so when you ran background checks, it was still coming up like it was on there. So we ended up helping him with the whole appeal process. Submitting his paperwork, all that sort of stuff, and finally got it off his background. But it was a long process, to say the least. So I'm personally partial to our public defender's office. They do great work over there. So.
And you can always email me. I mean, we tried our best I'll try to do my best to get back to you, right away, or, respond. If I'm in the office, I'll try to, get back to you right away. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me.
Frankie?
Hi, I had a follow-up question that I think Megan, you answered kind of already, but I just wanted to be clear because we get that question from our students a lot of, well, once I've known about Clean Slate and I've, referred students there. And I get a lot of questions of, well, once my record's expunged or once I get it dismissed, like, how do I go about disclosing that in a job interview? That's the question that I get a lot of the time. So what I'm kind of hearing is, since that dismissal still comes up, it would still be like a good idea for our students to be able to disclose that in the interview, but then also taking the steps to say, this is something that happened in the past, but I'm taking these steps to get it dismissed. This is like what I've done so far for that process is kind of what I understand.
Yes, that is definitely how it is. And then also you have to remember, sometimes without us even knowing, they seal them. So for them to disclose it, it depends on the question too. The question has a lot to do how you answer their questions. And that has, it makes a big difference because if you, answer one thing and then it's something else, then, then you let them know what's going on. Then they ask you, please, can you please provide us with the records? Or, they go further as to wanting to know what was on there. So I always tell them, it's good for you to know what's on your record. Sometimes it's good for them to get a live scan before they start, applying for jobs, just getting having a knowledge of what's on there, because sometimes they think it's one thing and sometimes it's already been sealed. It's already been, to their surprise. So they don't have to sometimes disclose something that they don't, need to. So that's always, I think it's very important for them to know really what's on there. And then just knowing that there is, sometimes there is solutions to a lot of their questions. Sometimes them just asking, calling here and saying, can you tell me if this case is already dismissed or if it was, sealed? They can always call and find out. That may align if they call, they can answer some of those questions for them too. Mm-hmm.
And Frankie, just a tag on that, I still do not personally, this is my personal preference, do not advise them to share that during the interview since ever since ban the box. So I usually have them share that upon the job offer when they're going to run a background check to then disclose it. Like, yes, I do have conviction, however, it was dismissed. And to Ena's point, being they need to definitely know everything that's on their background and if anything wasn't dismissed or if anything isn't, still outstanding. So those live scans are still helpful. But yeah, generally I don't have them bring it up during the interview anymore, just because of that process. But at the time of the job offer, to definitely be clear of what's on their background, and they can share it at that time.
Yeah. And that's why it's important for them to know.
For sure. Holly, did you have a question?
Hi, yes. So how would so I work with Frankie, and we call her B. How clients would be able to get a copy of their record, or how would they know what's on that?
Unfortunately, we do not provide copies of the live scans.
Okay.
They can go on to the Department of Justice, California, and they can apply for a waiver, and they can, get their live scan directly through them.
Okay.
And I know that sometimes there's clinics out there. I know Santa Ana College just had their clinic and they were offering free live scans. I know Cal State Fullerton also had their clinic. It was 2 weeks ago. They also provided free live scans. So I know that sometimes they have clinics, expungement clinics, and they, provide those free rap sheets, the live scans.
Also, thank you.
This is Bianca, and just to follow up on that question, once you have been received a job offer and they run a background, the candidate has the right to ask for a copy of the background. So typically when they're filling out the information, they have to go through a third party to submit the approval to run the background. There might be like a button or something that says, hey, I'm interested in getting a copy, or when they're supposed to tell you, like if something comes up in the background, they give you the option. So they should always just ask, can I get a copy anytime that happens? So that's a one way to get a free copy is to just ask the employer to provide it.
Yeah, for California residents, it's a thing when you run a background check. So whenever they're filling out the paper, there's a box they need to check on that. So not all employers will give you a copy because they don't have to, but you can legally require it on the background. Right. So I tell them always, 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 always check that box. I don't care if you just ran one, because in case something else pops up, if it's not your name, anything like that. And so that way they have a copy of what the employer ran.
Yeah. Right. Because Megan, we had a client recently that what came back on their background did not match them at all. So did the employer run the wrong person, or was there other person's information on there too? So
and to be clear, not all background checks are the same. So employers can vary employer to employer what they run. Some may just run a county search, some may run DMV, some run the sex offender list. Like there's all different types that they search too. So I tell them no matter what it's checked, just always check that box so they can get a copy and they know. That way they can see it too. If they get turned down for the job, they're actually looking at what the employer's looking at to see like why they didn't get the job.
Well, thank you so much. And I do appreciate, you mentioning that, they need to keep their records in a safe place, because it wasn't too long ago. We actually had a former client reach out to us and was like, I had my record expunged, but I don't have like the documented or the proof. And I had no idea that you couldn't access it again. So that was helpful as well. And then Megan, thank you also for mentioning, because I think so often, we said, we're always advising our clients and who we're serving, how to do this work. But I think the other side is then how to talk to employers too about the expungements or what these mean too. So thank you for mentioning that as well, because sometimes it's we put it all in the hands of our clients, but if we're the ones actually, creating those employment partnerships, then it's good for us to be able to talk about it with them as well. So thank you for mentioning that too.
And if their cases were expunged in Orange County and we're still able to see it, I perhaps can still get if we see it in the court system, we can still get a copy for them. If it's not, if it's sealed, if it's too old or whatever, they have to go to the court. But they can always try calling us too, if it's an Orange County case.
Okay, good to know.
Any other questions or thoughts on this? Go ahead.
Allie?
Yeah, so I might have missed for Clean Slate, which what's the right word? Which code was this one?
This is, I mean, it can be a variety of different, the 1203.4, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
For pursuant to penal code. If they pled guilty, then we would try to get their cases dismissed, and it would say dismissal pursuant to penal code 1203.4.
Okay. And then is there like what kind of charge that is? Like, is there like what is that
Any
specifically?
That all the charge, it would just
It's like a universal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. Because I know a lot of our students, because they're in recovery themselves. So I know I'm working with a student who told me that they have like felony charges. So a lot of our students also with recovery are, were incarcerated because of their mental health or substance use challenges. So would that also apply to that?
Yes, definitely. So sometimes I know that that even if they have mental health, they sometimes have some mental health charges on there, but then, or they will go to the mental health court too. That's the only time that we cannot proceed is if they're currently in mental health court. But if once they're done, then we can proceed with the dismissal, or we can proceed with the expungement part. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Any other questions or comments?
I just starting to type to Ruby in the chat, but Ruby was asking if the checkbox was on the job applications. No, it's on the background check application. So anytime someone runs a background check on you, you have to sign a form that says, yes, you can run a background check on me. And again, it's sometimes virtual, sometimes a physical paper, but as a California resident, I think it's also like Oklahoma, Tennessee, I don't remember whichever one. There's a few states. If you're a resident of those states, like you can get a copy of your background check. So it's just something they check on the background check form. And so that's also key too, because clients, I've been doing this forever, and I can't tell you how many clients come in and go, they didn't hire me because of my background. I'm like, did they run a background check? And they're like, no. I'm like, do they know you have a background? No. Well, then it has nothing to do with your background. Sometimes they think they're getting turned down because of their background, but that's not the case, right? It may be another candidate or more experience, or they didn't present well, like whatever else it is. But yeah, for an employer to run a background check, they need to run that. That said, though, employers, and some do this, can run informal background checks, because like OC courts, you can pull up cases on there, and I have known employers to do that. Is it necessarily legal for them to make a decision off of that? No, but some do. They Google you, they look at your social media. I mean, there are different ways to get around that. So it's not that it's a blanket that an employer didn't do that, but for the most part, unless they have to run an actual background check, you need to fill out the form. So I generally tell them to check that box so they get a copy of it.
And a lot of times clients think that just because they get their cases dismissed, that it will no longer appear in any other search, in any other background. And sometimes I've had them get old backgrounds, or, whatever system they use, whatever background company they use, that they still have old information. So that's the reason I tell them, make sure you save those orders in a safe place, because it's not all the times do they have accurate information.
Yeah, and there's also like certain jobs that they can open those records. So if they were applying for like law enforcement, government, sometimes licensure, things like that. They can look at all that stuff too. So I always tell people when they look for expungement, I'm like, expungement's kind of a misnomer because nothing's really erased from your background.
Yeah.
It just depends on.
The criminal history, it's not erased. It
Yeah.
Especially
Right,
from
erased.
government entities, they will still be able to see it.
Yeah. It just depends on where you're looking and what you're looking at. But so that's why it's better that they're informed what is on their background. And as Ena keeps saying, to have that documentation, because that is really, really important for them. Just to have that backup to be like, nope, I do have this dismissed or this is correct. So Bianca, I don't know who was first with hands.
Go ahead, Ruby.
Thank you. I had a question if anyone knows when it comes to like juveniles. So that's something I've always been like so confused about because they're minors. So I never know like if their background will come up when they're adults.
I know that since they're juveniles, they probably shouldn't. I have the number to the juvenile probation also that where they could start the process if, any juveniles come up with that they have any cases, but that I know of since they're juveniles, they shouldn't, but I'm not 100% about that, to be honest with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Ruby, in my experience, juveniles, their cases is what's called like adjudicated, so it won't show up on the background checks. However, if they're charged as an adult, that's a different story.
Yeah,
so
that's a different. Yeah.
I always ask them, like, were you charged as a minor or were you charged as an adult, right, for their cases? And then if it's an adult, obviously it will show up, but juvenile cases won't show up on their background checks.
Okay, thank you.
For me, I was just going to mention two things. I think some things that helps, well, two things. One is that just reiterating the importance of getting a copy of your background. In a prior life, I was an HR director, and we ran a lot of backgrounds of people who didn't realize that they had things from other states, where in other states, for example, it's if you drive over a certain limit, for example, like speeding tickets can become criminal things on your criminal record that are in other states or small counties in other states that most people wouldn't expect to find on their criminal background record. So I think one of the things that we are starting to do is, as we are grant writing, is to include the dollars for supportive service funds to provide life scans for our clients, so that we can help pay for those, so that they can see that before they have to go through the experience of getting it from the employer, which is great, but so that we can kind of help them so that's one like a preventative way to kind of get ahead of this, is as you or your organizations are writing grants, is to put the dollars in to get that done for all clients in advance. And then just to be mindful that if some of these background checks can cover really any place they ever lived or had some sort of residency that maybe they weren't even convicted for, but they might have been arrested for. So it can be really quite widespread. So those are my two tidbits.
Sometimes clients don't even know that they have warrants out of other states.
Exactly.
So that makes a big difference. And some states don't even recognize also the expungements from California. And they think that because they had their cases dismissed in Orange County, that they will be able to go to Texas or Arizona or one of those states and everything will be the same. Unfortunately, sometimes it is not. So states will not recognize that. So it's pretty sad.
I actually had that conversation this morning about every state literally having different laws and checks and all that kind of stuff too with somebody, because someone didn't realize, like Connecticut, for instance, looks at background checks differently than we do. And, literally every state has different regulations and stuff on that. So it is a complicated system once you're out there. Complicated. So, again, more important why clients know what's on their background. We recommend, to that point, Bianca, I love that you guys are writing that into your grants as well for that.
That's great.
There is, and it's just so everyone's aware, anyone can run a live scan on themselves. They can go down to live scan place and run it.
Sure.
They range in prices depending on what you're running. But generally if you run like a simple one, it's like $25 if you go to like, you know, a cheap place or something. So it's not like astronomical. So if someone really doesn't have a clue what's on their background, we generally do recommend them to at least go get a live scan. So whether it's through one of these free clinics, whether on their own, or if your organization can help support that, like it's a game saver for some people, especially if they've moved around. A lot of our clients, as we all know, like have lived in Orange County, haven't left Orange County, but there are a lot of people that come in from other places or go do things in other places and come back. It's just really important that they have a holistic view of that, because an employer, depending what they run, it will unearth all that stuff. So
Department of Justice has a waiver for California only though, but that can help.
I know I always forget about that one, Ena, but yes, that one is on there too.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Just teed up Sam and Bianca. Maybe we do get a background check company come in too to talk about that process and like what that looks like for employers and that stuff. I think we did it a few years ago with like an HR person, but maybe it's time for that to come in too, because that's really important too, to start answering questions. And Ena, I don't know if you have insight in this either, but like a lot of times people get out, say they served a term in prison, they get out, their crime was, 15, 20 years ago. And they're like, is that still going to show up in my background? That was 20 years ago, but it's from, their release date at that point that it's showing up. So there's all these little like intricacies with like background checks as well. So
I always tell them it's a criminal history. Unfortunately, it doesn't go away. It's not like the DMV that after certain years, it kind of goes away, but criminal history, it's criminal history and it will stay on there. Even if it's 20 years, it will be on there. So it will depend on the employer, what type of report they are requesting, what years they're looking for. And so it would depend on them.
Go back 7 years, but again, that's where it gets complicated, right? With like,
yeah, you never
when
know.
they get released, what was it, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So
That's a great suggestion, Megan, for sure. Thank you. Well, I think this was a great discussion, and I thank you so much for coming and presenting this to us. I found it very beneficial and helpful, so I know I appreciate it. So thank you so much, and for all of the great questions and the discussion and feedback and suggestions. Bianca, I love that I never even thought of like including the live scan in your grant proposals and stuff. So all those little ideas are great. So thank you so, so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody has any questions, everyone's welcome to call. And, if I'm able to assist, I will. Or, if I have someone else that can assist, I will definitely refer you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye.
for everybody else, don't leave yet.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm like it's done. Go ahead, Sam.
Okay, sorry. So just wanted to make a couple of announcements and then ask you all to share any announcements or updates that you have. For us here at Hire, our next youth subcommittee meeting will be on July 9th, same time, and then our next employment subcommittee meeting will be on August 6th. We also have that our resource fair will be in the fall. We're looking at September 17th, but we'll have more information probably after June or in June, Megan. So all the details will be coming, but right now you can kind of make a mental note that our resource fair will be in the fall on September 17th. Sorry, someone else is coming back in. And then
same bat channel, same bat location, but we'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah, more details to come. And then also, I just wanted to make a little announcement. We love getting referrals and everything from you all. It's been great. We have been getting a lot lately, and we just want to make sure that everyone understands that we're not a staffing type of agency. So we are building out more programming. They have to meet with case managers. There's more involved with that. We're not just like they can, come in and apply for a job, or like it's not like a staffing agency. So if you have any questions about any of that, don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I can go over that more with y'all. But just, again, I feel like sometimes people are like, oh, call hire for a job, which yes, ultimately we will help them with that, but there's more involved in that process. So just so you're all aware of that. And I don't know if Nicole or Megan wants to add anything else to that, but just
Yeah, I
wanted
was
to
just
make sure.
chime in, and because it is a little confusing, and again, we are still like developing a lot of things and changing a lot of things, but as Nicole's getting in jobs, if we don't have somebody immediately that we can place, we're sending it out to, our partners, because we ideally want to place your people and get them placed. So those are kind of like one-offs, but we're getting a lot of calls right now with people going, do you have jobs? And we're like, well, yes, right, but it depends on you, and it's very individualized what you're looking for and kind of the program you're in. So if you guys have people, definitely send them over, but it's not like an agency where they can just call in and be like, is there a job today? Because we definitely have it individualized. Nicole works with employers, screens the people, matches them up, all that kind of stuff too. So as we're growing and developing, we'll be sharing and adding more programming to everything. But for now, we just wanted to clarify because, our phones have been ringing a lot. And then yesterday, a young lady that called, I was sharing with her about what the program was, because she was just asking for a job. And then I asked her if that was what she was interested in, and she just hung up on me. So I took that as a no, she's not interested in what we're doing. But just to clarify, if Nicole sounds at a job, yes, she's recruiting for that specific job, but that doesn't mean like people can just call and get like a job. She's trying, those are ones that she can't fill like in-house, that we're trying to, open up to our partners and get your people jobs. So we love your referrals though, keep them coming, but don't just call for a job, because there is a little bit more to it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anyone else? Any announcements, events going on? Anthony had a couple in the chat. We'll definitely share those out. Frankie?
Hello. I do want to make one announcement, and thank you so much for hosting this. I really appreciated the information coming from the reentry service provider perspective, so we can use that information to help our justice impacted students. Our annual peer workforce event is coming up again in June. I'm going to drop a flyer in the chat for everyone, and I'll explain what that is in one moment once I figure out how to get it in the chat.
And Frankie, you guys can all email those to us too, and we'll send them out in the follow-up as well. So
beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, so for anyone who wasn't here at the beginning, like Bea mentioned, what we do is we are an academic education employment program for people in recovery from mental health and substance use disorders. So we're providing a lot of the academic courses, the employment services, and we also provide our Medi-Cal peer support specialist certification training program. Very much like hire, we can't necessarily just place people in jobs. It's a lot about, people getting the employment services from us, and, that individualized path to finding the job that works for you. Our primary mission is to employ people who are in recovery in peer roles and in behavioral health workforce roles. So our third annual peer workforce training event is going to be on June 27th. We plan on having a few different presenters attend. Our theme is diversity based. It's called Together We Thrive. And what we really want the focus to be on is how we can work with different populations within the behavioral health services and peer services field. We're still working on confirming our presenters, but right now our goal is to have representation from different kinds of client populations present. We'll also be offering continuing education credits for any Medi-Cal peer support specialists as well. One thing that I do want to highlight is that we are going to be hosting a career fair or employment resources fair during the event from 9 to 10 a.m. And I just wanted to extend the invitation if anyone was interested in having a resource table at our career fair, along with just attending in general. It is an event that's open to the public. You do not need to be an REI student to attend. So if you, as a service provider, want to attend, or if you have clients that might be interested, If you're interested in having a resource table, we're looking to have people promote like their employment resources along with any current job openings or volunteer opportunities. Yeah, that's my little spiel.
And Frankie, who's the contact for that? Like if people were interested in being a vendor?
They can go ahead and contact me. I can redrop my information in the chat. And our education training director, Michelle Tanner, I think may have already sent out some invitations to maybe some of the folks who were in here as well. But I want to spread the word. 753.
Yeah, we'll be happy to share that out in our newsletters and stuff too. So
thank you so much.
Of course. Anthony without a mic makes me laugh. No announcements from Anthony. They're all in the chat though.
Bianca, did you have one?
I do just, oh, can you hear me? Yeah. So I do just have a update to share. So for those who don't know, like Working Wardrobe serves multiple populations, and we do have currently a couple of contracts that are specific, government-based contracts that are specifically working with justice impacted individuals. One of those contracts for the city of Santa Ana is sunsetting in June. And so we do have a handful of clients that we are assessing that we've reached out to a couple of partners that are already on this call, depending on what their needs are, may look to you all to refer for continued services. The contracts that we were on provided a lot of paid tuition training and supportive services. So they all understand they're kind of at the end of this program anyway, but we want to make sure that we provide them with other resources. And so, Frankie, I think we have a handful that are in sober living facilities and so may be a good fit. So we might have one of our team members reach out and so that we can make sure that they can receive workforce readiness services through some of our other platforms of workshops and things. And many of them have already completed that, but we do still have our other contract, which is to provide individuals who've been recently released from California State Prison. So if you still have any of those, that program is still accepting full case management referrals, including individuals who might need like full case management and supportive services. So just an update on that. And if you see me reaching out to one of our team members, it's mostly to see if we can do a warm handoff if we have a couple of clients that may need some continued support.
Send them on out, Bianca. Happy to help.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any announcements? Events coming up? Recruitments? Questions? Ideas for other subcommittee meetings?
That would be helpful.
I know Bianca and Sam are working on the schedule for the year, so let me help them help you.
This worked out so well, Sam. I think we were like a little bit like I'm hoping that it goes well, but there was such great foster of conversation. So if there are other topics that again, it's great when we find a speaker so we can ask those questions, but even if it's a guided conversation of we'd be surprised if we put our hats together about what are you doing in this space and how can we learn from each other. That's also a great way, I think, for us to continue to grow and develop in this space. So any ideas, please feel free to let us know.
Yeah.
If you guys think about something after, you guys can email them too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, B?
Yeah, I just was wondering if there was any justice impacted friendly agencies that you guys knew of to refer our students to. Don't know if there's like a list or a place to go, but I have a short list of those. So I was wondering if I could get a bigger resource for that.
Are you thinking of employment agencies specifically or just general resources?
Oh, to have our students apply for employment.
Okay. know if there's a universal list, but I know that there are some websites, and I'm gonna forget it now. Goodness.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, referring to agencies. So I know Cosme hopped in with Chrysalis, us at Hire, like all of us literally can help with that stuff. But if you're looking for like an employer list, like those things don't exist, and the ones that do exist aren't functional for you anyways, just letting you know. Like
That makes sense.
I hate quote unquote felon friendly lists. I've hated them my entire career, because just because an employer hired somebody with a background doesn't mean they're going to hire everybody with a background. And just because they are open to fair chance, again, there's always stipulations and stuff in there. And so people always look for those lists, and like they're dumb. And I've also worked with tons of employers that may not publicly hire people, but we, because of our relationships, will hire them. So if you work with organizations that are specific to Reentry, such as like Hire, Chrysalis, Working Wardrobes, I know some of their programs are sunsetting. Even the Workforce Solutions Centers, there's a bunch of agencies out there. And so if you have clients, sending them to us at Hire, we also work with pretty much everybody too. So if a client has better need with another organization, we'll refer them to that organization, project kinship, et cetera, right, for that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's not an easy answer to that. But yeah, if you're looking for like an employer list, just letting you know, even if you have one, I wouldn't use it.
I completely understand. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Any other questions or announcements, updates? All right, well, thank you so much. And again, thank you for the great discussion and conversation, because I know that I learned a lot and found it helpful, and I'm with you, Bianca. So, and again, we're open to any suggestions or ideas or needs that you have, and we can, try to reach out to get presenters on those topics if you have them. So feel free to contact us and let us know, because these meetings are for all of us, and we want them to be beneficial for all of us. So please don't hesitate if you have a need or anything to reach out to us.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you guys
Thank
in the
you.
next meeting.